The new ones, you know, the Z09, Z06 is, 0 to 60 in, 3.1.
We just love cars. Welcome back to Let It Rip. On the panel right now. He retired just a few months ago, but you'll find his signature in the style and shape of hundreds of thousands of cars and trucks around the world. He's the former vice president of global design for GM, now leading his own design and consulting firm in downtown Detroit. Ed Welbert is here. And so is his good friend and automotive legend, Robert Anthony Maximum Bob Lutz. He knows it all because he's done it all with high-ranking jobs at Ford, GM, Chrysler, and BMW. To paraphrase that old commercial, when he talks, people listen. And almost everyone in the car business talks to John McElroy. He's the host of Autoline Daily on the Web, the weekly Autoline TV show, and he's a member of the jury that chooses the car and truck of the year. Not bad for a guy who helped to pay for his college degree working at a car plant. And also with us, a native New Yorker who landed in the Motor City a few decades ago, never left. Cars quickly became his heart, soul, and focus. That focus has sent Paul Eisenstein around the world from Berlin to Beijing, but always back home. You can hear him on National Public Radio and read his reports on the DetroitBureau.com. Also a member of the jury that chooses the car and truck of the year. Of course, we all know Charlie Langton. The only thing that we do is buy him and drive him. So let's get started. Because what a week it's been. The announcement of the car, truck, and SUV of the year, the Honda Ridgeline winning truck of the year, the Chrysler Pacifica winning SUV of the year, and the Chevy Bolt winning car of the year. And guess who was the lead designer on the Chevy Bolt? Edward.
Well, I was head of design for GM. There was a very creative team of designers and engineers that developed that vehicle. That was a fun project, I must say.
And it looks good. It looks fast standing still. And just by coincidence, you were given a task to design the trophy for the car and truck of the year. And what an amazing coincidence.
That was fun as well. They came to me because they knew that I had some strong opinions about some of the trophies that there are in the world. And they asked me for some advice, and I said, well, maybe I should design it for you. And so I designed it, and working with a very creative digital sculptor and designer, and there you are.
But tell the background of that, of the Oscar
well,
connection.
The thing that was fun, my inspiration really came from Oscar. And
Oscar, as in the movie, that you wanted to do one of those trophies.
I wanted a trophy. The best way to describe this new trophy is, if Oscar were to have a car, this would be it. And that was the shape I created. And I wanted something that really lived up to this very prestigious award and would be something that designers and engineers would work hard to win this award. And that's why I created that particular shape.
How great to design the award that you won. But that gets back to Bob Lutz, because he was here exactly a year ago, and he said something very important. He said, we don't make bad cars anymore. There's simply no bad cars on the road. But if you don't have the kind of style that attracts buyers, you're done.
That's right. Design is the big differentiator now, because everybody's got reliability, everybody's got quality, everybody's got fuel economy. And if it doesn't look right, and the manufacturers that are having trouble getting it looking right, which right now is called Toyota and Honda, are finding it harder to sell their cars than they used to.
Well, I have to interrupt on that one, though. All the data, anecdotally, what you find more and more is that people are also making the decision based on what's in the car in terms of the infotainment and also the high-tech safety features. Digital technology is becoming, wouldn't you say, more and more of a factor in decisions?
It's a huge part of it, but no car company has an advantage
unless
when it
they
comes
have
to
design.
Technology. So any company that may have a technological advantage for a moment, it's purely a moment. Design needs to be that great difference.
I don't want to drive an ugly car. I don't know about you, but I want to drive a nice looking car.
On the in-car entertainment systems and what the cars have loaded in terms of connectivity, I think fewer and fewer people are going to be ordering that from the OEMs, because you've got Apple CarPlay and that stuff, which is basically adaptable to any car. And the Apples of the world are always going to be a step ahead of the OEMs when it comes to putting stuff like that in the car. And Paul's point. I think it depends a little bit on the age group. I think if you're talking under 50, I think you have an excellent point. If you're talking 50 and over, I find that the more complicated the interface is between the driver and the car, whether it's the entertainment system, the nav system, the heater and air conditioning, the more the older, and I'm talking, when I say older, I mean 65, not 85.
In our age group, it's okay.
Get turned off by it.
But John, but we have seen in this auto show, not that many reveals as before, but the evolution of not only the car, but the industry itself.
We have, but we got to talk about the elephant in the room vis-a-vis this Detroit show, and that's the CES show. And there's no question there's a big war between these two shows right now, and CES has definitely siphoned off so much of the excitement in terms of concept cars, along with the technology that we're talking about here.
Chrysler unveiling its latest edition at Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas.
Exactly right, and not doing it here. And we're seeing far fewer automakers holding press conferences and even exhibiting. And it's not just a Detroit show thing. This is a global thing. There was about a half a dozen car companies that did not even go to the Paris Auto Show, Ford Motor Company being amongst them. I was in LA, it was Deadsville there. I mean, this is, not only are we seeing so many other changes in the industry, technologically and business case-wise, it's even affecting auto shows.
Well, a lot of luxury brands are finding other ways of communicating with customers and the media besides an auto show. And that's what auto show is all about. It's all a communication venue. And if a luxury brand can hold a ride and drive at Pebble Beach and their customers are there and not only look at the vehicle but drive it, that's a totally different way of communicating.
I have seen Google's autonomous car. It looks like a pimple. I don't want to get in that car. It's ugly. It's terrible.
Doesn't that sound like design having influence?
Well, it does indeed.
I doubt, frankly, when I look at that little pea pod, I ask myself, does it even meet federal safety requirements? I frankly doubt that it does.
No, it doesn't. Remember, this is just a development mule.
Yeah, exactly.
This isn't trying to do anything except develop the technology. And I'm sure they could have put the money and the time into designing something, but come on, this is a test bed. I think they're building 100. By the way, those cars are made in Livonia, Michigan. That's not all that well known by Roush
in that case, we should love it.
Isn't the auto show really, though, for even the other competitors to look at the other cars around? I mean, you guys, everyone is in the car companies. Everyone's looking at, I was there at the auto show. I mean, all of the people from Toyota and from Ford, they're looking at Buick. They're looking at, they're looking all over. It's not just sell cars.
Is that the reason for the show, or is that a byproduct?
That's a byproduct.
I'm just saying.
That's a byproduct.
We have a whole week before the public gets in there with all these auto exec types at the show.
I know.
One of the things that's fun to watch.
If it's there, they're going to do it.
Especially
And
with
the
Japanese
product
and
planners,
Koreans.
the product planners from every brand are in there with
the tape
measures.
measures.
It's like, oh God, they got a quarter of an inch more rear headroom than we do.
And
they're making notes too.
But we're also talking about connectivity, autonomy, and electricity. And we're talking about a brave new world. Now, are you telling me that people like Charlie, people like me, accustomed to paying either a monthly rent or a monthly car payment, are going to now base our choices on where we want to go, the distance we want to go, and not the brand? Is that what you're saying?
They do in New York City, they do in Chicago, LA. It's just changing a model that already exists to some degree in big cities. Remember, some estimates are that half to 2/3 of the world's population will live in 30 cities around the world. Now, if you look at those 30 cities, they're already gridlocked. And it's going to get only more as the population increases. Those cities are going to have a hard time putting more cars on the road. Now you create a model that's easier, because instead of having to stand around, you go to the New York Auto Show, and one of the things that we all hate is you come out of the auto show, you want to get a cab to go somewhere at the end, you can't get them because they're all on break the time you come out. Well, now you can just go on your Uber, bing, bing, hit the button, and they're showing up.
But can car companies like the big three survive in that environment? When I pay a fee, is that money then going to Ford, GM, and Chrysler, or to Uber and Lyft?
It depends.
Where does the money go? Who makes the profit?
It's going to be a transition. But I would guarantee that 20 years from now, the importance of brands will have declined to the point of irrelevance.
So will we see just one big car company?
No, they'll be made by somebody. I mean, have you ever heard of American Freight Car Company? I mean, you don't care who makes railroad cars. They just move coal and stuff around, and it becomes a capability and a cost and reliability issue. And all of the reasons people buy BMWs, Mercedes, Audis, etc. I'm successful. I'm socially superior. My friends will admire me. I'll pass people on country roads. That's all gone because they're all going to be of equal capability. They're going to be.
I disagree.
I disagree too. Go ahead, Ed.
Totally disagree.
Well,
and I don't know if it's
anybody?
brands. I don't know if it's brands, but it may be just in differentiation. It may just be in how the vehicle is used. It will be used in cities, but everyone has got a different use for a vehicle.
But
it's going to be a mixture.
I
too.
believe that in the
Listen,
future, the vehicle will not just be to transport someone in a pod from point A to point B. It may, in fact, be where meetings take place. I mean, absolutely. Why not be the place for a meeting to take place?
So you ordered the big module.
And it may be a new
the
restaurant
module,
experience.
right?
I think just as corporate jets get totally tricked out from an interior standpoint, you're going to have your own personal cocoon.
Yeah. But now, before we go, we have to mention the big elephant, or as some would say, the big gorilla in the room.
Which one?
Donald Trump. Now, who's running this industry right now? Is it Mary Barra? Is it Mark Fields? Or is it the president-elect?
I think there's been a lot of talk about very little actually changing because of Donald Trump. The automakers are out there. They want to say good things. They don't want to get into a match with him right off the bat, so they'll say nice things. But for example, the big Ford Mexico deal, they looked at the numbers. It didn't make sense to have that plant. They changed it. They're still moving the car to Mexico.
But Trump claimed responsibility for that.
He claimed responsibility for ending World War II.
It was sleeves out of his vest. It was a decision that they were going to make anyway.
Exactly.
Nobody needs an additional assembly plant.
Then wait,
build cars.
But timing is everything.
Mark Fields was praising Trump the other day.
Mark Fields,
this is a great guy.
But if you listen more closely, what Mark Fields did not say was that they made the decision because of him. The reality was they were going to build a $1.6 billion plant to produce cars that are plunging in volume, that they could move to another Mexican plant.
Let's look at the timing, because they announced that in April. And there is a big machine that gets going when you go to build a plant. Government permits, meetings with government people, all the way to the president of Mexico. You get your suppliers lined up. You tell them you got to build all kinds of plants there. You make a massive commitment. The machine is moving. This happened in April. Now, all of a sudden, Ford woke up to the fact that it didn't need this plant. What changed?
Sorry.
Those cars were installing a year ago.
I talked to folks inside. They made the vote on this in November. They had the paperwork to the board to consider abandoning the plant 3 months before.
Even if they made that decision in November, I'm telling you, it was Trump that.
No. Okay, look, before we go, look, we're running out of time, but we're going to end this with one simple question. Is Trump, with his promise to cut taxes and to cut regulations, an ally or an adversary with his ability to drop a stock to its knees by simple one tweet? Is he an ally or an adversary in this?
Yes.
What do you think? Wait a minute. I'll give you politics aside, but we now have a pro-business administration, and everybody knows it. And look at what's happened to the stock market. I mean, it's way up, and it's going to go farther up. The auto market was weakish in the last couple of months, and all the scribes like to say, plateaued, heading down, and so forth.
Set a record.
General Motors and other companies are saying 2017 is going to be a banner year, and it definitely is.
John.
He can help and hurt at both. I mean, he's talking some pro-business stuff, as Bob's talking about. He's talking about giving some sort of environmental, easings, as it were. But he's got to be careful how he goes. Like it or not, Mexico's a low-cost source of components that makes the American plants very globally competitive. So you'd better not screw that up along the way. But I ran into one executive that is so close to him. He was at his New Year's party at Mar-a-Lago, and he told me, look, there's other adults in the room. They're not going to let him do stupid stuff.
Right.
All right.
So this is what somebody very close to him told me down at the show this week. So
you guys are fantastic. We thank you for your comments and your insights. Much more to come. All right.